Welcome again. I'm Joao Caldeira. I'm the founder of the Tarot House in Lisbon. And this Tarot House in Lisbon is going to do an international Tarot month. And in the middle of this international Tarot month, in May, we are going to have the International Tarot Encounters. And Lisa de Saint Croix, who is now here with me, is going to be here, and she's going to do some workshops that have to do with art and art connected with tarot. And so I will let her talk to you a little bit about these workshops. She's an honorable member of the Tarot House here, and we are very, very proud to have her. So, Lisa, can you talk a little bit about these workshops you are going to do?
Yes, I'm really excited to come and present these two workshops, and they're not for necessarily artists. They're for anybody that wants to explore some creativity around tarot. You can be an artist, but it's for everybody. And I really like to inspire people and to get them to play with different mediums. And I'm going to show you a little bit of what I'm going to be teaching. So I'm going to pick up my camera and just move it to show you in my studio.
Okay, go on.
There's my dog. Anyway, so this is my studio in Santa Fe. And one of the workshops that I'm going to be teaching is a tarot diary. And here's my version. These are actually 3 of my cards on the front. And inside, I do many different things. This was a flyer for a workshop I taught one time. But I also have my story of how, I've done some pages. This was the shamanic journey that I think I talked about last time, where I went up and met Isis, who, of course, is the high priestess in the Smith Rider-Waite deck. And then I have my mother, and these are the cards that I think she might have had in that reading that I said was so profound. And I do some writing. Those are my grandparents. That's the little temple. When I do the shamanic journey, I go up to this temple, which looks a lot like the where the high priestess sits. And as you can see, these were my grandparents, and they were Masons, and it's very similar. And I didn't know that, so that was another amazing synchronicity. But this visual journal or diary is a great place to record your readings. So if you have like an important reading or something, you can. What I do is I make printouts from my computer of cards, different decks, and then I cut them out and I paste them in, and I use some paint in the background. And this was a workshop I took with the wonderful tarot teacher here, Carrie Paris. And so I had a lot of information from her class. And rather than just sort of throw it around or put it in a pile, I use the book as a place to contain it. This was another shamanic. It was a workshop actually I led where I drummed and led people into a trance, and then that was the card that I pulled, which is very appropriate, the Emperor, being a leader. But then we also had here in Santa Fe a big conference called Let's, Land of Enchantment, which is the name of New Mexico. And so I got a lot of pieces of paper from that. Here's something about Mary Greer. She came and taught. And so the book is a great place to contain all this information. And as you can see, it doesn't have to be that artistic. It's just a place to write your feelings. And then I use some pastel chalks or something. Here's a photograph. I printed that out of my computer. That was Mary Greer looking at one of my cards. And so, I sometimes put my own cards in, and then, different readings. But this is something that everybody can do. You don't necessarily have to be an artist, but it's just a really great place to process your feelings around tarot. And
you are saying that somehow it's a different, it's going to be different for each person according to the knowledge they have of art and the feeling they have for the cards, for tarot, so because I'm looking at your book, and I'm seeing very very intense art, and sort of, could I do that? Maybe some people will ask themselves, can I do that? Will I be able to do such a beautiful work? Can you say something that those people, in order for those people to be more released, not so afraid?
Yes, as I said before, you don't have to be an artist. I can show you just some very simple ways to collect your images. If you bring some images to the class of tarot decks, maybe printed on computer paper, and then just some glue sticks like this, and scissors, and you don't need a lot of materials even. And you can just do very simple pages where I'll just show you many techniques of how to, put your information into a book. If you are an artist, that's fantastic. But if you just, with a little paint, you can highlight, a business card. There's a lot of writing in here. I have, many pens that I use. And you don't have to be creating a painting necessarily, unless you want to. Like in my earlier pictures I showed you, like this one, that's painted right in the book. But if you don't feel like you want to make your own painting, you can use images that you find and do kind of collage or something else like that.
So everybody will have a chance of doing their own work, their own thing, their own way in these workshops. They will have a series of possibilities, and so they can find their own way in doing a diary, a book of art, a book of tarot, a book of oracles.
Yes. And what I'm going to do is I'll have an exercise to inspire people. So, I'll give you an idea of something to start off with to create a page. And then, hopefully people will continue afterwards using their diary to do, I'll show many different things that you can put in there. So what I thought we would do maybe would be our birth cards. And, I can show people how to figure that out, and then we can make a page about that. And there'll be a couple of other exercises to do. Maybe from the conference, like when people are attending, and, if Rachel has some handouts, some pieces of paper, this is a fantastic place to keep them. You can glue them in, you can staple them in, tie them in, different things like that. So, I'll do a little technical instruction showing some different techniques, but also we will have some fun exercises to do, which will inspire you to create your own pages. And then,
so it will be a sort of a personal journey for each person that will be present in this workshop, both of these workshops, a sort of finding out about themselves, finding out about art, and discovering perhaps they have more capacity of art, of expressing themselves through art than they knew before. Sometimes it's a question of an adventure. It's an adventure, right?
Yes, very much. And I like the oracle deck that I'm going to, the workshop that I'm going to teach around creating an oracle deck. A very simple way to do it is to do collage. And collage is just, collecting images. So I have this box, and whenever I see some image in a magazine or, stickers or whatever, I collect them, postcards, and I have, many, many images here. And then what you can do to create the card is just very simply, we'll have an idea of the card that we're going to do. I also have a exercise, and you'll just create it from images that you bring in, and also some simple things like text for the words. You can either print words out on a computer, like the High Priestess, or I use these rubber stamps, which I'll bring some, which is a very easy way. That's what the strength was, a rubber stamp, and then I used a pen over that. And it's a very, very simple method of creating an oracle where you don't have to be able to draw or paint at all. On the other hand, if you are artistic and you want to paint, then you can do something like this, which is a whole deck that I created before the tarot, where I made the paintings and then, put a word, and I made a little booklet with the meanings. So that's a little bit more complicated than the collage one, but there's many ways to make an oracle. I also have this natural wisdom deck that's about the animals and plants of the area I live in. And then, of course, the tarot deck that I'm creating. But seeing as though it's a tarot conference, I think I'll make the deck a tarot deck. We'll have an exercise based around the tarot. We'll pick a card and then have some materials to play with, and we'll talk about how that can keep going. And so you can add to it on your own at home. You don't need a lot of materials. You don't have to go out and buy a whole paint set or anything like that.
Do you want to do a sort of a final invitation here in this video to people, in order to invite them to come and to give them this magic of being able to create their own cards and their own books and their own diary? What you would like to say to bring them, to give them some magic?
Yes. What I want to say to people is that we all have a creative spirit, and a lot of us feel very free as children to indulge in that. Children love to draw and paint, and they don't have any inner critic. And so my goal is to bring people back to the place of creativity, where they leave behind the critic that feels that they have to make a perfect piece of art, and to really be able to play and enjoy the experience, and to feel the bubbling up of this creativity that just opens up all sorts of possibilities. Whether you have a skill at drawing or not, anybody can be creative. We all had it as children, and it's just buried. And so my goal is to awaken that. I will do some meditation before. When I paint, I like to do a little ritual, just light candles and do a meditation, so that you get out of your busy work day or your sort of mindset of functioning out there in the world, and you really enter into a creative space where you're able to let things just flow and come through you. And because it's an oracle, we do want to try and tap into that other dimension of the intuitive, creative dimension.
Thank you, Lisa. And once again, I'm very, very glad that you are now with us, and you are going to be with us in May here in Lisbon, in Portugal. So thank you very much, and we will talk again much more about your tarot and your art. Thank you.
Thank you.